Welcome, everybody, to Bridging the Seen and Unseen. I am your host. I am Shane McLain, and this is the wonderful Gwen. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Little
I'm
cold.
good. Yeah, it's definitely cold around here. Tonight, we have a very interesting guest. It's not like anything with the paranormal or anything like that. So this guest may be very beneficial for lots of people to listen to. And I hope you get as much out of it as I believe I will. So with that being said, let's bring Brian Cato on.
Thanks
Hey.
for having me on, Shane. Great to meet
Hey,
you.
yes sir, buddy. Yes sir. Yes sir. It's a pleasure having you on. This is not the typical podcast that we do, but I'm excited about it, and I think you have a lot to say. So, with that being said, why don't you introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I am Bryan Cato. As of January this year, I will have 23 years in the military. I am a warrant officer, which essentially I am a advisor to the commander. Um, but that is not the reason that I am here. 2 years ago, as of December, I launched No Limits Holistic Fitness. With sharing my journey and helping others achieve transformation in their lives similar to that I have experienced. Um, and 2 years later, here I am. Uh, it has been a wild ride. I am now committed to helping create leaders in families because driven families start with driven leaders, and you cannot lead your family effectively if you don't lead yourself first.
Mm. Well, let's break that down a little bit. Let's break that down. Like, is it more on the fitness level, or is it more on the getting you into the leadership mentality, or is it kind of a combination of both?
It is a combination of both. Um, as you are well aware, I know you've had a lot of struggles. I follow the chats. Um, there are a healthy person has 1,000 wishes. Someone who isn't healthy only has one. And I have found it true in my life that I've been fortunate that for the most part I've been a very healthy individual for most of my life. Um, had developed some struggles due to 23 years in the military, but um, as a whole, my life has been spent in pretty reasonable health. However, having not had the foundation of fitness and having not put much emphasis early on in that, my life was not as full as it could have been, but I had a better understanding of fitness and a better interest. Uh, Interest is not the best word because I did have the interest. It's not the environment. Um, but fitness and a better understanding of fitness, nutrition, health, and not just nutrition and physical in the gym fitness, but the mindset behind it, the spiritual side of it, all encompassing, laid the foundation for me to be have the success that I now have, the influence in my family that I now have. Whereas had I not started taking my health, my nutrition, my efforts in the gym seriously, I would not be where I am today. We would not be having this conversation.
Mm. So let's say somebody comes in, and they don't really know what they're looking for. They just know that they want better in their life. They want better shape. better mental headspace and things like that. Like, how would you go about dealing with a person like that?
So foundationally, we start with where they're at. We identify where they're currently at because you don't, it's like I can't go to Pennsylvania if I don't know where I'm starting from. If I go on Google Maps and say I want to go to Pennsylvania, okay, great. Where are you starting from? And if I don't know that, then Google Maps is not going to tell me how to get to Pennsylvania. It's going to show me where it's at, but it's not going to tell me how to get there. So we start by identifying where the person is at. And then I'm not just going to give you, okay, so you're at this point and you want to get here. I Here's all these nutrition things, here's all these workouts. I identify what they're not willing to give up. So that looks different for every person. Um, for me, I'm not willing to sacrifice all the time with my family because, you know, spending time with the family is important.
Hmm.
I can't I can't not show up for work and spend all my time in the gym, even though I would much rather spend my time
Right.
at the gym than to go to my regular full-time job. Um, but then on top of that, you have you have friends, you have things that you want to do with your life, that are outside of just working out or tracking macros or whatever. So we identify that pathway of what what you can reasonably commit to because it's about consistency over
Hmm.
perfection. So that may be two days a week, that may be 3 days a week. It all depends on what time you have to work with. And then from there we build that plan. And it is a client client led, coach guided. So what works for Gwen may not work for you. So I can't sit here and say, well, all of you have to do 3 days a week. You have to track macros and you have to do these 5 check-ins. That may not work for you. That is me projecting what I think is going to work on you, but you are the expert in your life. You're the expert in the amount of time that you are able to commit, not willing, because that may change depending on the person and depending on the situation. I am willing to work out 5, 6 days a week, 2 hours a day. But I tried that and it didn't work for my life. It created tension in my family, um, you know, near just about a divorce. Um, and it wasn't sustainable on neither for me or for my family. So, and the same would be for the two of you. You might be willing to commit to 5 days a week, but in your situation, that may not be realistic. So
Hmm.
we identify not only what you're willing to do, but what is realistic for your life at the present time. And that doesn't mean that you're stuck there. That just means that at this present time, this is what will work consistently and sustainably. And then you build from there.
And you help with the diet too, like helping. Say if I was your client, you'd help me make better choices or healthy choices or like a program type. That's part of the program, right?
That is part of the program. So with the exception of excuse me, with the exception of the do-it-yourself, done-for-you
Mm-hmm.
program, the entry level, which does not have any coaching, the the full program is a comprehensive, all-inclusive life transformation. So that's the nutrition, that's the mindset, that's identifying the gaps between where you envision yourself to be
Mm-hmm.
and the identity level shift identity level shifts that have to happen for you to get there from where you're at.
So do you formulate a long-term plan for the person when they come in?
Yes. So let's just break it down. Let's say I have a person entering, they want to lose 40 pounds. Realistically, a 40 pound weight loss, most likely in perfect conditions, is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 months to a year, depending. Yeah, that's just a blanket statement. Um, in perfect conditions, someone could lose a pound and a half to maybe 2 pounds. That's pushing it per week. So that would require, without, say GLP-1s or something like that, some outside influence, someone could reasonably lose 40 pounds within, say, 6 months. But that's in perfect conditions. So I would let them know up front, hey, this is what's probably going to take based on where you're at and where you want to go. They would complete the onboarding paperwork, which includes their goals and the obstacles they think they may run into. I create a blueprint for them based on those things. I create a blueprint based on what they've given me, and a workout plan, a nutrition plan based on all of those things. And then we hit the ground running.
So let's say, all right, let's say like someone comes in, um, like take me through like what one of your workout sessions looks like, not only mentally and physically, but spiritually too.
A workout plan. So the workout
Shane,
plan
you're kind of
itself.
asking like, if say, okay, Shane is obviously religious. If he comes in, are you going to try to, Shane? I'm not getting the words, man. Are you talking about like support as far as
No,
spiritual?
he's on a spiritual level, and yeah, she is right. I am religious, I'm a bishop with the Knights Templars and everything, but that's what I'm saying is, like, do you help them reach like a more spiritual balance through nutrition and fitness?
There you go.
That would be identified during in their goal setting. So depending on so let's say this person comes in and they do not feel aligned where they're at. And they mention um, in their goal sheet that they're out of alignment spiritually. Then in that process, I would recommend, based on, they what where they're so let's say they're Christian and they feel out of line, they feel apart from God, and not trying to influence anybody one way or another, but I would make recommendations for, say, journal prompts that align with moving them closer to where they're trying to envision themselves. So those it's not part of the workouts per se, but the check-ins would identify the habits that they would need to follow to get them closer to where they're trying to go.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So what would like what would a day look like with Bryan Cato? Like, okay, so we go to the gym, we do all that, we identify all the needs nutrition wise and everything. Where does it start?
It depends on their goal. But let's say this is the same person, so they're feeling out of alignment. So that would start with a girdling that morning, depending on. Let's just say for the sake of making this easy, that they're good with doing their workout stuff in the mornings. So they would start the day with journaling, where they're feeling, where their mindset is at, a verse that aligns with where they're at currently. Let's say they're trying to be a better father. So I would recommend verses that would walk them through the fatherhood stuff, and perhaps a book. Like there's an amazing book. I think it's kind of more of a devotional, but called The Fatherhood Principle, and it walks
Mm,
through what being a good father looks like, and is based on biblical principles. Um, so then they would have their workout plan that would align with what gym equipment they have available to them. They follow that plan. It would have um the videos that show them how to walk through how to complete the workout, rest times, all of that is structured in there. Um, Body weight, bands, gym equipment, the whole 9 yards, and it's structured based on what they have available, their time, and then the meal plan would go align with that as well.
mm.
And we touch base throughout the week. They have full access to me to pop in questions, struggles, check-ins, and we just work on progressing that week to week. Some days, some days is great. I call them out when things don't go well, and we try to identify what the blocks are. Um,
Hmm.
and that's pretty much it.
Now, Shane, I know I've seen his I'm gonna say intake form because I can't remember what you called it. I've seen it, and he gets into the best time of day. What is your goal? He asked all the right questions, and he does ask about your support and that kind of stuff too. But and if it hasn't changed,
Mm.
but yeah, I've
There's been
seen
a
some results from it, like as before and after pictures, and it's really, I think, not just the way they look, more like how they feel, and I think they most of them have a better outlook, maybe a better positive outlook. Cato, is that right? Bryan, I'm sorry. I'm used to calling you Cato.
You're good. Uh, no, for sure. Uh, One of my clients earlier this year, his wife started working out with him. She was not had no interest initially. She started working out with him. His dad was commenting about how much more present that he was, how much more of a leader he showed up as after working in the program. And he felt the same way. Like he felt a lot more confident in his day to day, that he was better prepared to be the provider and protector that he knew he was meant to be. Um, and one of my current clients is used to be really, really into like, adventure type stuff like climbing,
Hmm.
cycling, and that sort of thing. Um, she run down, didn't have any strength in her legs anymore. Um, she went on vacation earlier this year and climbed a mountain. She didn't think she was going to be able to do that again. So she was climbing a mountain. She's back on cycling, back into swimming,
Good.
um, and just has a whole new outlook. And we're
Nice.
just getting started with
Nice.
her. She's not even halfway through.
That's good. That's real
So
good.
so how would you so say somebody like me, I've got renal issues. I was born with one kidney.
Hmm.
Oh
I'm in
wow.
dialysis and things like that. I a lot of my energy level is gets depleted pretty quick. How could this benefit somebody like me?
So I work, I will work directly with doctors. It kind of depends on the doctor. For someone in your situation, I would not take you in until I had gotten that release from the doctor saying, hey, he is ready, he is able to participate in this program. And then we work together to make sure, one, that your nutrition, your workout protocols align with what the doctor is trying to accomplish and not working against that. So in that case, if with someone that is under a doctor's care, I am not a doctor. I cannot prescribe. I'm not a dietitian, so I cannot prescribe nutrition and I can't prescribe things or diagnose things that is under a doctor's orders. So that would be one of those things that we would, if the doctor was not willing to get in a relationship with me, so where we're communicating on a regular basis to ensure that you are taken care of the way you need to be taken care of, we wouldn't work together.
Mm,
Now, I would gladly send you over stuff that could be beneficial, like some different nutrition stuff,
Hmm.
things of that nature that may help from that just from the research I can do. But if the doctor was not willing to work together with me, it just wouldn't work because I would forever be concerned that I would, because he's not communicating, he or she is not communicating that, we would end up working against each other, and that would not be good for you because at the end of the day, it's not about money for me. It's about making sure that the clients I work with have, end up with
mm.
a better life than when we came together, when we started working together.
Interesting. Do you have a nutritionalist that you can like call up and say, "Hey, I need a little advice"? Do you have one like a friend?
There is so I'm still affiliated with First Form, and they have dietitian on staff, so I can still reach out to that dietitian for advice. I do work with a um, uh, physical therapist, an
Hmm.
athletic physical therapist that I refer clients to. The client I mentioned with the climbing stuff, I referred her to him when we first started working together because she had rotator cuff injury.
Hmm.
And so I do have a physical therapist I work with and a dietitian that I can reach out to.
Nice. I'm just going to say real quick, we got some people popping in. Litriana, Nathaniel, who is on the network also. We got Christy, Sean, who else? I saw somebody else and I'm losing it, but everybody's saying hey and what's up and that kind of stuff. So just letting you know, Sean, Matthew too,
Hey
Matt.
guys, thank you guys for coming on. That's awesome. Um, I think it's very interesting. Because I've heard people. You know, I've seen some really, really like people that have a good workout regimen that don't lift a weight. They use a lot of different things, natural things. Do you use that also?
I have programs set up for body weight bands all the way to heavyweight stuff.
You
Um,
said body weight bands.
body weight bands and weights.
So how does the bands work?
Bands create tension. So that would be I like bands as my preference is weights, um, barbells and free weights is my personal preference. But at the end of the day, it's about resistance and putting the target muscles under the tension to elicit a growth response. So there will be people that will disagree with this statement, but it is not necessarily about the medium you use. It is about putting the muscle under tension to elicit the response. So if you are only doing body weight, or worse yet, if you're sitting around doing nothing and you start doing body weight stuff, then your muscles are going to respond because they're doing things that they're not used to doing. If you're just doing body weight stuff and you add bands, you're adding resistance. Now you're going to get more resistance from a bar or a set of weights, but you're still putting the muscle under resistance, and therefore there is going to be a response that happens if you do it consistently.
That's very interesting. I watch this arm wrestling competition, and there is
Crazy
a
stuff.
guy on there who doesn't lift a weight a day in his life. He uses bands, to pull like this, and you can see different bands that he uses. And I was watching him, and this guy is usually his ranking, he's in and he battles, he goes against people that have him by 100-something pounds. And this guy goes in and he locks, and I think they either underestimate this guy or they look at him, but then they lock up with him. And I mean, he's trouble, man.
Can you guys see the comment? I know you can't, Shane. Can you?
Can. Do you use dynamic tension in your workouts? So I use I use what's called progressive overload. And I do, and resistance does change. Resistance does change throughout the workouts. And again, it from a programming standpoint for a client, that is going to be determined by what they are comfortable with. Now, as the coach, I'm going to push someone to work outside of their comfort zone, because you're not going to progress if you're not willing to do that. Otherwise, you wouldn't hire somebody if you were doing it on your own. If you could do it on your own, or you were if you were doing that and seeing the progress on your own, then you were less likely to be reaching out to work with a coach. So as a coach, I'm going to push you to push outside that comfort zone.
Right.
So I think that answered your question. Did that clarify that?
Yeah. I mean,
Sean,
like
did that answer it for you?
the guy was asked, the guy in arm wrestling was asked, why, because they tell him that if he uses free weights and things like that he can bulk up more. And he was like, I'm not interested in really like bulking out like that. He's more interested in, I guess, being able to pull more, on it. So, I mean, but this guy is incredible when it comes to arm wrestling. And, he has a band. You can see him inside his vehicle. Like when you're driving, he's steady doing it, so I mean, he can just about do it anywhere. And he uses different tensions, and things like that. And I mean, I think it's fascinating because, like, when I was growing up, in the 90s and stuff like that, people, they didn't use like a whole lot of bands and stuff like that. If it wasn't like free weights and stuff like that, you didn't do anything like that. And it's really come a long way.
It's all
Um,
about adding load, adding tension to the muscle. So, he's using bands similar to how I would use cables. Um, and yeah, it works. I got I got a couple clients that absolutely love band workouts, so I plug them in there and we adjust as they see progress.
that's what I had to do after my shoulder surgery. They use the bands.
Bands are
So,
awesome for
Did they work
recovery.
for you?
well, my shoulder never got totally well because of the damage and some other issues, but honestly, it got stronger. It's not, this is my bad shoulder now, but I compensate, and it does. I even have some now. I probably need new ones, but I do use them sometimes, especially when it needs to be stretched out, or not stretched out, but kind of more motion, range of motion, a little better. I don't know if that's actually what I'm supposed to do, but yeah, I like them. I do, because I'm not wanting to look like Cato with all the big muscles. So yeah.
What so I mean, but there and I mean, like when you do reps and stuff like that with band, I mean, it's kind of different than what you would use on free weights, right?
Um, it's a different type of tension. Um, and I'm drawing a blank on the freaking term. The principle still is the same. You're going within 2 to 3 reps of failure,
Mhm.
and the idea is that you increase the resistance to see progress. So, let's just to keep it simple. I'm doing my workout with a black band, and it's rated at 40 pounds. I'm gonna do those reps until I'm 2 to 3 reps from failure, and I can't do another rep. And then on the next set, I'm gonna grab the whatever the next band up is. Say it's a red one, and it's at 50 pounds, and I'm gonna do that again. The principle is still the same, but it's a different type of resistance. Whereas uh, barbell is a fixed resistance, or a machine is a fixed resistance. The band the band increases the resistance the further away from the point of origin you go. And whereas a cable is constant tension, the band increases the further stretched it gets and relaxes as you let it go. So it's a different type of resistance, but the principles are still the same.
I mean, are you getting a lot of the same results from people that use bands as they do, free weights and things like that?
Mm, that's a little bit more complicated to answer because the ones that are using bands are at a much different stage from where the others. Um, and they're using bands for different reasons. So the two that stick out in my mind don't have access to a gym and are not particularly comfortable with going to a public gym. So they're using bands in place of free weights because that's what they have access to.
Oh,
They are
convenience.
they are right. So they are definitely seeing progress. Um, but it's different. I don't know how I could compare that to the ones that are using the weights,
Mm.
but they are definitely seeing progress.
That's very interesting. How long does one of your workouts usually go for?
It varies depending on the person. For example, the one that's using bands right now, that workout is about 30 minutes from start to finish. I have another person that is um, in 30 minutes with about a 5 to 10 minute warm up prior to. And then I have a person that's in the gym. Their workout is tailored because of their shoulder stuff. They have roughly a 10 to 15 minute warm up, and then it's about a 45 minute workout. You know, if they stick specifically to the time.
So, what does the
I did.
warm up look like?
It is a combination of body weight movements and um, mobility flows.
How would you help someone, not just with breathing and everything, but like somebody like me, for instance? I get fatigued quite a bit. Now, do you deal with somebody who gets like that?
Um, I have one person that is in therapy. And by in therapy, I mean they are a therapist, so they work in the therapy.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. Anyway,
They're a
so
physical therapist.
they're
Is that what you're
no,
saying?
they're not a physical therapist. They're like a not quite a shrink, but they work with
Oh yeah, yeah. A
so like a
therapist.
social worker type of thing.
Yes.
Um, their their hours drain them.
Oh yeah.
So they have low energy, and so I and they've been having a lot of struggles lately with everything that they have going on. So we I have had them identify, okay, what is the minimum thing that you can commit to? And it doesn't, and it can be 5 minutes, it can be 10 minutes. This is what you can commit to, and we build from there. So I can only get 5 minutes today. I can only get 5 minutes 3 times this week. Okay, let's start there. They hit that. Can we push that to 7? Can we push it to 10? And we build on that based on where they're at, men, not only physically but mentally too. Because you if you feel like that, oh gosh, I'm struggling with this, I should be doing better. You have to allow for that mental drain too. And if you push somebody past that point, then they quit.
Right.
So, what made you get into this?
I It was a combination. So I struggled with fitness in my military career early on.
What do you
So
mean? What do you mean struggle with fitness? Because you look like you're pretty.
so
He's fit now.
when I came in, I had to run around in the shower to get wet. And two, I could hardly pass a PT test. So I made it through AIT and all that stuff. But then when I come home, that structure went away,
Yeah.
and did not surround myself with people that had any interest in fitness as a lifestyle. They just wanted to do what they wanted to do, and I kind of fell into that too.
Mm.
And as a result, I got uh, missed promotions. I almost deployed lower rank than I was eligible for because I couldn't pass. And so that was the first shift. I came back with hidden scars. failed marriage, saw things that nobody should ever have to see, and drowned all that with alcohol. And
Oh wow. Yeah.
I learned then how to work out. I fell in love with the gym while I was over there, and that and the alcohol, essentially medicated myself.
Yeah.
Um, Finally started getting the help I needed with the alcohol and moving past that. And by no means am I saying I was an alcoholic, because that would not be fair to alcoholics. So, but I want to make clear that up a little bit. But
Hmm.
getting in the gym, getting in shape, completely transformed my life. And I went from being the guy that struggled to pass fitness tests, who struggled to put on muscle and um, see the person in the mirror that I wanted to see, to now I'm a master fitness trainer. I train future warrant officers like I wanted to be growing up. Um, and it transformed my family. My family, I can remember pictures of my son hanging on to the case of beer and grinning, and now he's showing up and at competitions and crushing them. Took him to his first Decafit, which is essentially a indoor obstacle course race. Took him to his first one earlier this year, and he placed third in his age group.
Awesome.
It's Starting on this journey has transformed my life.
Do you have a daughter that's
And
um does she, I know she's is she military now? Is she out of school? And
yeah,
she is,
yep,
right?
she is at her first duty station at Fort Stewart.
Nice. Did she follow your program? Did you kind of get her into it
She
a
is
little
in the
bit?
program now.
Oh, yeah. Good.
She's in the program now. And I mean, yeah, so I trained her before she left, and I like to think I had a say, or not a say, but a influence in her being successful in her
Good.
pursuits. So yeah.
That's great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you try to get people not only on a workout regimen, but just a balanced nutrition level, and then with the workout and nutrition levels and stuff like that, they get more peace about themselves, right?
That's For me, that was the foundation. So, and I've seen that with so many other people, that starting on the health side of the journey is foundational for a lot of other progress in life. Um,
So pride in
and
themselves too. I've seen that through somebody I know that's done your program. More pride in them, like that they're healthier and they can go out and do better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, identifying how that works with the entirety of your life, because it is very easy to follow the gym culture and the grind culture, I guess is a good term for it, where you completely set aside, oh, I have to get in shape. I have to be this physical specimen, and it comes at the detriment of the family or other things or your friendships. Whereas if you identify the things that are important, the your values, and you build that plan based on those values, suddenly you're unstoppable, because it may take a little bit of a grind early.
Mhm.
If your family is like, completely opposed to it. You know, you say you're the first in your family to try to jump into that and take health seriously, and there can be some disconnect there, but when you have a structured approach based on those values, it's easier to get that alignment. So yeah, it's all about it's all about be leading yourself first to then have the family follow along with, because at the end of the day, the the goal is to see entire families working out together, and that in turn creating the ripple effect into the community, not just an individual getting in shape. As great as that is, it's about the ripple effect.
Interesting.
I know people will have like a difficulty with commitment. I mean, do you have issues with people with that?
Yes. Um, and there are different levels to it. Um, Something I've learned in my the mindset coaching course is you have people in the action stage where we're doing this now. I'm ready to crush the gym, and they can move in and out of that phase at any time. But then you have people that are in the contemplation phase where, hey, I know that I've got an issue, and whether that's weight, whether that's strength, whether that's energy, and I know I need to do something about it, but I'm just kind of thinking about it. That person might be looking at programs, they might be clicking on different influencers, they might be watching different workouts, and they're like, yeah, that'd be kind of nice, but it's kind of like, I'd like to repaint my office, and I'm looking at colors and stuff, but I'm not really doing anything about it yet. And then you have people that they either don't know they have an issue, or they are not willing to admit they have an issue. Um, and then you have people that are in maintenance. So they have started a program, they've made massive progress, and they're just maintaining those results. Um, and I have people in the program that are at all levels except for completely
Mm.
unaware that they have issues. So I have some people that are very low communicative, very, very low engagement.
Hmm.
They're still there. They might pop in here and there, and I work with them where they're at.
You work with them right where they're at. So I mean, so like you don't try to push them to get on. You meet them right where they are.
I meet them right there where they are. Absolutely encourage them and do everything I can to identify ways to pull them into a higher level of compliance. But what I have found is if you overdo it, then they ghost, they quit
Hmm.
altogether. So it's about giving them the tools to and opening their eyes to take those steps on their own. Because if you try to force it, you know
Now, do
they
people sign like a contract with you, or like what do you do? What do you do? You like formulate this regiment or whatever, and I mean, do they get it in writing what they do, or do you just kind of tell them, steps that they can do?
they do get a contract. The only non-contract option is currently is the entry level, the momentum membership, and that's the done for you DIY. So there's no coaching there, so there is no contract with that.
Hmm.
For anyone in the full program, there is a contract, and it spells out expectations for me as well as the expectations for them. And then all of that is outlined in their onboarding stuff as well. We talk about it in the onboarding process, and yeah, so it is very clearly laid out what the expectations are for both sides.
So with the nutrition part of it, and things like that, like how many times do you recommend someone eating during the day? Because like somebody like me, for instance, like I eat one time a day.
So what I encourage starting out, and this depends on where a person is at. Um, there, I'm going to assign a nutrition structure. So I'm going to tell them, I'm going to give them based on where they're trying to get to and where they're starting at. They're going to get a number of calories for the day. And let's say for the sake of this argument that they have no clue, they've never tracked any kind of food before.
Mhm.
So I'm going to lay out what a good plate should look like. Now, what I, say for you, you eat one meal a day. Now, you can get all the nutritional benefits that you need or all the nutrition you need in one meal. I think that it's difficult because you would be eating a lot of food most likely, but you can eat enough to sustain one person in a single meal. And if that works for you, I encourage people to take notes, what they ate, how much they ate, when they ate, and 30 minutes to an hour post eating, what they felt like throughout the day. Did you have crashes? Did you feel hungry? So, the check-in form basically lays out um, stress levels, their energy levels throughout the day, um, uh, gut health. So, how their digestion was throughout the day, and based on that, I'm gonna give them feedback. So, say for you, you eat one meal a day. If you're crashing halfway through the day, then okay, so where is the fall off? Where do we have to make adjustments so you're able to,
To
you're
get
feeling,
yeah, yeah,
okay, so you ate everything you needed to. You hit your targets, but you felt just completely bloated and gross. Well, that's a
Mhm.
problem. That's not normal. So do we need to make adjustments, either splitting those meals up so you have that sustained energy and you don't feel over full, or do we need to, maybe there's something that didn't agree with your system, so we need to identify what that was and swap it out. There's I had a coach that he he could not eat rice during the day, otherwise he was tapped out. And this is a guy that coached me, so he's been doing this for years and years and years. He
Mhm.
knows stuff. He knows his stuff. He wasn't he wasn't eating too much, but rice for whatever reason caused him to check out. Within 30 minutes it was nap time. So he
mm,
just found out, hey, I've got to eat rice before I go to bed, because if I eat rice, I got to go to bed in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And that worked for him.
Hey, we're coming up on like 56 minutes. So Shane, I ain't trying to take over, but
yeah.
Cato, we're
Won't you tell everybody how to get a hold of you?
So I'm on all social platforms except I'm not active on TikTok, but Facebook, you can find me at Andrew Bryan Cato Jr. Um, is my the page I use the most. Um, on Instagram at no_limits_holistic_fitness. I also have that as a Facebook um, business page, same name, No Limits Holistic Fitness. You can find me on the web at nolimitsholisticfit.com. And I don't know, let's see, I should have pulled this up already.
And you can always contact me because he is part of the network. If you can't get him there.
Should have already pulled this up, but give me one moment. I am going to hook everyone who attended tonight with first.
He's trying to pull it up to you. So I have a question real quick. I do better personally if I eat little
Right here.
meals all day. Do you recommend that? Does that happen to females more than males?
I used to eat 7 meals in a day,
Wow.
protein
7.
throughout the day, roughly. Yeah. I've gone away from that. Now it's 4 to 5, depending on whether I'm working out that day or not. And
Mm-hmm.
that worked for me. So roughly I'm splitting it up. Roughly every 4 hours I'm eating something.
Okay.
But yeah, so the same principle applies. Um, for most, I recommend 30 to 40 grams of protein at every meal. So, that would apply regardless of how split up you had the meal. 30 grams being the minimum. And that is because protein serves 2 functions. It's one, it's building muscle, and 2, it is repairing the cells that your body loses throughout the day. And I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but your body is in a constant state of turnover. So,
Yep.
and every day your body is getting rid of dead or dying cells, and it has to replenish that. So protein is serving the purpose of repair. So, you're using anywhere from 15 to 20 grams a day just in the repair process. So if you're only eating 10 to 15 grams at a meal, then the only thing that you're really supporting is that repair process. So you never grow muscle.
Hmm.
And then, what is it after age 30, 35, you start to lose muscle faster every year,
I
especially
think
for
it's in
guys.
your 20s. For females, especially after you have children, because your body goes through all that craziness. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
it
do
varies
think.
for
I think it relates on the person too. Like after you have children and stuff like that, I think there's a lot of things that depend on whether you can do certain stuff for longer periods of time or not.
absolutely. Uh, that is that is a ballpark statement.
Mm-hmm.
So every person is different. Everybody responds different for sure.
I'm making a banner for him, Shane. Give me just 1 second. All right, everybody. Takes me just a minute. I apologize. I should have done it already. Here we go. Here we go. That's
So
how you get
this is a link to download a free nutrition tool that I created. It is based on the principles I use with all my clients. It is chat based, so if you've ever played with Chat GPT, it is a bot. Nobody can see what you put in it, but you follow the prompts, and it will give you essentially a meal plan. And the coolest thing I have found to do with it is if I'm out and about and I don't have my lunch with me, I drop in the my nutrition goals. I
Mhm.
drop that in there and then I say, hey, this is where I'm at. Give me a list of the best restaurants to choose based on my goals. And it gives me a list of best restaurants along with the recommended meal
Nice,
from that
nice,
restaurant.
I like that.
So
nice.
it's free. Do everything you can to break it. It'll also add you to my email list where I share other tips and tricks every week to help guide you to better life and of health, fitness, and family.
Hmm. Well, Brian, I really appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks for spending this hour with us, and thank you for informing us on a lot of things that a lot of us probably didn't even know.
I appreciate you having me on as a guest, man, and Keep up
All
the great
right,
work.
brother. Hey, you have a good night, okay?
You as well.
All right. Thanks,
Thank-
brother.
Well, that was cool.
Well, Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, you always learn something new, because like, not everybody's the same, not everybody can do things, on that kind. And it's just interesting to know that there is a plan out there that you can use just about for anybody.
Yeah.
It's just finding what works for you. I thank you all for coming on. I thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the questions and the pop-ins to say hey. I really appreciate it, guys. And you guys have a good week and stay safe. Be blessed always and stay spooky, people. Peace.